This meeting of the Ellettsville Town Council, Monday, July 17th, 2020. Is Mike Corman here?
Yes, I am.
Would you like to lead the pledge?
Yes, I will. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Sorry about that. Computer had to do an update. Jimmy Journal, are you here? I don't see.
Jimmy's having problems with his microphone.
Okay, we'll get back to it. Sandy, you want to do the roll call?
Dan Swafford,
Here.
Scott Oldham, William Ellis,
Here.
Trevor Sager,
Here.
Pamela Samples,
Here.
Hey, Sandy, I just got a text from Scott. He said he's logging in, so he may be a couple minutes late.
okay, thanks.
Jimmy, do you have the speaker going? Guessing no. Sandy, you want to do the prayer?
Okay. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for our community. Please guide our town council to make the best decisions for our community. We thank you for the blessings you've bestowed on our community and help us have a good meeting. And we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Thank you, Sandy. All right, first thing on the agenda is the wage study presentation, and I guess we have Kim and Tyler here from WIS Consultants. You guys want to go ahead and take the show?
Yeah, thank you so much, Dan. I'm Kim McKenzie and my colleague Tyler Perkins. We're both consultants with Wagner, Irwin, and Shealy. It is a management consulting, human resource consulting firm based in Muncie. And I'll refer to it as WIS, W-I-S, by its acronym. Most of our clients are municipalities in the state of Indiana, and we provide a wide range of services. But usually we perform job classification, salary studies, just like we did for Ellettsville, and we develop personnel policies. We were contracted to perform job classification and compensation study back in November as an independent outside firm who would provide an objective point of view. I just want to thank the town council so much tonight for letting us present our analysis, and thank the town council for undertaking this project. I also want to thank all the department heads. A few of them are here tonight. Thank you very much for your great cooperation. All of the town employees participated in the salary study. They all filled out a job questionnaire, which I'll talk about a little bit later. And then special thanks also to Sandy for coordinating everything, the clerk treasurer, Sandra Hash, for coordinating everything on your end, and also town manager, Mike Farmer, who I see his name up there, or I saw his name. Hopefully he'll be here too. He provided a lot of information. If just to save time, in the interest of time, I know you have other things to talk about tonight. If you could please save your questions until after we present our report and our findings. We're very happy to answer your questions, and I'm sure you will have some. I'm going to jump right into it. We have two things that we're presenting tonight. One is we prepared a report that gives some background and gives our findings. And then after that, we're going to show you the breakdown of the numbers and our proposed pay plans that we're recommending. So I think all of the council has Town of Ellettsville final report.
This meeting is
the
being
title
recorded.
Of the document. Since some people here are from the public and may not have this document, I'm going to just go through this and apologize to the people who have already heard me go through this. Anyway, hang in there 10 or 15 minutes. I'm just going to go through what this report says so you can have all the information. So this report is the culmination of the job classification and compensation study and that we started back in November. So we've been working on it for a long time. We had 4 objectives, and the first was to prepare updated job descriptions using the existing job descriptions that the town already had. And then our job questionnaires. And our job questionnaires are a multi-page survey that each employee filled out, and just detailing kind of every little detail about their job. And so we prepared those job descriptions. The second goal was to conduct an FLSA analysis of each position. That's the Fair Labor Standards Act. For each position, and designate it either non-exempt, excluded, or exempt under the federal and state overtime and comp time regulations. The third goal was to classify the town's positions, every one of them, using the factor evaluation system, and that's called the FES for short. And I'll get into that a little bit later and give you some detail about that. Basically, it provides guide charts that assign points for the major dimensions of each job. And then finally, we conducted an external salary analysis, and we made salary recommendations for the purposes of placing positions into a close correspondence with the external labor market. So we made comparisons within the town of Ellettsville among some positions, but generally with the external labor market. So the project involved first meeting with the town officials. It was mostly the department heads and also Mike Farmer, the town manager. And we discussed the history and the administration of your existing compensation levels. And then we also got a lot of organizational background from each department head. Then, as I mentioned, we gave the employees the job questionnaires, which they filled out and returned to us. And using those questionnaires, we drafted new job descriptions. And we sent those first drafts back to the supervisor and the each employee to review them and make any corrections that they saw fit. And then we made those corrections to create the finalized job descriptions. The job descriptions are the basis of all the work that we do. So we put a lot of time into the beginning of it so we can cover all the aspects of the job. Job descriptions have a lot of other functions, and I will skip over those 5 bullet points if you're following along on paper. But you can use job descriptions for other uses. The way we analyzed and classified was according to the factor evaluation system. And that is something that was developed in the 70s by the US Department of Labor. And so it's been implemented by municipalities, state governments throughout the United States. And in fact, we have worked in almost every county using the FES in Indiana. And this system separates the positions into categories so that similar positions are compared only to each other. So for example, a laborer and administrative assistant would have different job description factors, and they're categorized in different job categories because the nature of their job is just very different. So for this project, we determined that the town of Ellettsville utilized 7 of the categories. I'll go over each category just briefly so you can understand our next step, discussing the pay plans. The first category is called COMET, and that includes, it's an acronym for computer, office machine operation, and technicians. So that usually requires on-the-job training and just knowledge of basic office skills and procedures. COMET positions usually provide administrative support to other job categories. They also can have some limited supervisory experience. We determined that the Ellettsville COMET job titles positions include, for the utilities department, the billing clerk, the office clerk, and the office manager. And then for both the fire and police departments, the administrative assistants. The second category is LTC, that's labor, trades, and crafts. And that includes both skilled and unskilled labor and trade positions. Most of those jobs are manual. There's various levels of strain and effort and also responsibility. The knowledge is usually gained on the job or through prior experience or specialized training. We determined LTC job titles to be in both the street department and the utilities department, the laborers, the meter repair service, and the foreman. The third category is called PAT, and that is short for professional, administrative, and technological. And these usually require a 4-year degree or equivalent training and experience or specialized training. And their duties involved a direct application of professional principles. They sometimes develop policies and procedures or administer an assigned area of responsibility. The 2 PAT job titles for Ellettsville are in the planning department, and that is the building inspector and the assistant planner. POL is protective occupations and law enforcement, and we have separated that into 2 categories. There's POL fire and POL police. The fire positions may be required to complete a state mandated training and specialized certification requirements. They often have on-the-job training and usually require a minimum of high school degree. All of the fire department we have included in the POL fire category, except for the chief. The POL police positions must complete the ILEA, the Indiana Law Enforcement Academy training for law enforcement officers. And so it requires specialized training, and it may require 2 or more years of college. All of the positions in the police department are in the POL police, except for the town marshal. The 6th category is EXE, short for executive. And these positions are held by employees who usually plan, direct, and implement major programs. They recommend, develop, and approve policies, and they manage their departments. They, for EXE, we determined it was basically all of the department heads. So that would be the fire chief, the planning director, the town marshal, the street commissioner, and the utilities superintendent. The final category is called SO, and that's short for special occupations. And these positions are special from the rest of the classification system for various reasons. And in this case, it is because they are politically appointed positions. And it includes in the clerk treasurer's department, both the first deputy and the second deputy. So all of the positions were set into these categories, and then each position was factored using points assigned to the various dimensions of each job. Knowledge and skill, job requirements, responsibility, physical effort, working environment, and also personal relationships. So that's the background. Tyler is actually going to discuss our findings and recommendations.
All right, thank you, Kim. So for the findings and recommendations, the first item on the list is classification levels or classification system. As Kim has mentioned before, the town of Ellettsville does not have any classification system. So the idea was to prepare job descriptions, factor these positions, and get them into these classification levels. So comma, LTC, PAT, POL, executive, and SO. With all of these jobs into these positions, we put them towards the external market, and we provided an external salary midpoint and then an external salary range for every position within the town. And that'll make a little bit more sense when I get to the spreadsheets at the very end. I'm just going to kind of walk through the rest of the report here, and then we'll move on to the spreadsheets. So the second item listed under our findings and recommendations was in the comment job category, and this has to do with both the police and fire administrative assistants. Both of these jobs were factored at the same level, and they're placed into the comment category, but they're both receiving two different compensation levels. Based on our findings in the external market and through other jobs that we've looked at, within the duties of these two jobs, we are recommending that externally they would be paid the same amount of money. As you can see here in the report, the pay rate for the police is $18.64, working a total of 2080 annual hours, and the fire administrative assistant is $22.28 per hour, working at the same total of 2080 annual hours, representing a 19% spread in pay. So what we've done is set them at the same level externally to eliminate the pay equity issue. Moving on to number 3 in the POL fire. Really the only recommendation and finding that we found here was that there's currently in the town of Ellettsville, there's low rank differentials between different positions in the fire department. So I'm not going to go through every single figure here, but essentially, again, what we've done with the external market is we've created a minimum of 3% between each rank. So that way it gives these positions incentive and also in internal advancement and rank. Number 4 is the longevity pay options. During the department head interviews that we conducted back last winter, there had been mention of some different longevity pay for all employees. It's a little tricky to explain, but it'll make more sense once we look at the pay plans. But essentially, we would, and these are just our recommendations, and it's just an example. It's not something that absolutely, it has to be done this particular way. It's just an example of what we've provided in our findings. And but essentially it's $100 per year per employee every year they remain with the town. Again, we'll kind of get more into that in the spreadsheets. We'll go ahead and go into the FLSA review. So there's three, as Kim had mentioned, there's three different FLSA classifications that were determined by the Department of Labor. We have excluded, exempt, and non-exempt. And we've gone through all the positions within the town and determined an FLSA status for each position. And each one of those positions, each one of the definitions for the FLSA status are included in the report as well. So basically our FLSA findings was primarily in the executive or EXE category, which consists of mostly the department heads. Currently, the town is treating all of those employees as non-exempt, but through the tests that we've conducted for the FLSA, we've come to determining all of the positions in the executive department being treated as FLSA exempt, so exempt from overtime and comp time. And then if we scroll down, we have our 2020 external salary analysis. Basically, this page lists all the different municipalities that we use for looking at the external market, at different wages, positions, that sort of thing. Basically, what we've done in our external findings was we've taken positions and we've direct job match them to other positions within these municipalities. And the way we get to our midpoint, which you will see in the pay plans, is we will drop the highest 10% of the external salaries and the lowest 10% of external salaries to get to that midpoint salary for each individual position. So taking out all of the really high jobs that are paid a lot and all of the really low jobs that are paid a lot that are not around what the town of Ellettsville is currently paying. So sort of weeding those out, if you will. We've also created a salary range for each job category as well. So we've taken that midpoint that I just told you about, and we've gone 10% below that and 15% above that to create a pay range for each individual position. So I think during our findings, there was only 2 positions within the town in total that were actually out of the range. So, which is a good indication. It means that the salaries are pretty competitive compared to the external market. The only category that this is a little different is the executive category. Instead of going 10 and 15%, we've gone 10% below and 20% above in order for these executive positions to kind of set a range that would compensate for, the switch in FLSA status. So if they are receiving overtime, we would recommend a more broader range. So maybe those positions would get paid more money to compensate for that overtime that they shouldn't be getting. And again, these are our recommendations. Essentially, our comparisons to the external market are one of our last items here in the report. Is basically what I just went through about how every position is sort of tied to the external market and the pay plans. And essentially what we've done here is created a direct job match for all different positions within the town. So it'll make more sense once we look at the pay plans. We have elements of a pay philosophy. I'm not going to go through every single one of these bullet points, but there are also important notes. One of the big things that we strive on and what we do and all of these projects that we conduct is ensuring that there's pay equity among like jobs. So, we like to see, for example, administrative assistants paid paid pretty close or competitively the same internally or within the town. So now if job duties and responsibility and supervisory duties, if those are different within each position, then obviously the employee would be compensated for that, and that would come into play. But we're just talking about, standard positions that that we've put into some of these categories, and the administrative assistance was one that came to mind in the comment category. And then external pay equity, I've kind of already talked about that with some of the jobs that we've compared to the external market. For example, the positions at the fire department coming in with those different rank differentials, that's what we're talking about when we're talking about external pay equity. And then there's performance pay options that can be addressed, as I mentioned already, longevity, and then there's technical pay. Okay, so in conclusion, everything that we've compiled, we've created a cost analysis for, and we have a spreadsheet to reflect that as well. But on each one of these spreadsheets that we've listed, we've costed out what it would cost to go to the external midpoint. And then we've also prepared a document to display positions that were actually above the external market. I believe that was sent over of last week, but we have, so we have who is over the market and then who is below the market. And then there's some that are coming in for a zero raise or externally, compared externally, I'm sorry. And how it's perceived to go on from here, there's several different options. Going to that external market is one option. If the town decides to move forward with this and go directly to the external market, that is where positions externally are being paid. That's one option. There's across the board percentage raises. There's across the board dollar amount raises, or there's no raises at all, or however the town decides to proceed. Again, these are, part of our analysis and what we wanted to get and convey to you all, and show basically where the town of Ellettsville is in 2020. The last two items here are sort of basically just maintaining this classification system. If the town does decide to continue with this, we have our own sort of standard procedure to go through with whether it be with the job descriptions or the external market or any of those things like we've already done. That's sort of a follow-up and what we can provide or what we will provide after if this is something that the town decides to implement moving forward. All right, so with that being said, I'm going to go ahead and go to the pay plans and just kind of walk through them very briefly. I'll explain the comment category in depth the most, but then the others I will kind of just go ahead and go through just basically to get familiar, with what they look like and where these numbers come from and that sort of thing. So I'm looking at the comment sheet right now. I think Kim's actually got it, is going to display it. Okay, so in the comment category, and it's in the top left-hand corner there, you as you can see, we have department, job title, hire date, 2020 hourly rate, 2020 salary, FLSA status, annual work hours. So like we had mentioned before in the comment category, it's utilities, police, fire department positions. So billing clerk, office clerk, the two administrative assistants, and then the office manager. The hire dates are in there to show longevity, and I'll get to that in just a second. But then we have our the 2020 hourly rate and the 2020 salary, and these are all base hourly rates and base salaries. So it doesn't include any kind of certifications or anything like that, and that's what we've done externally, and what we've compared to, there's no certifications included in those salaries as well. Again, there's a FLSA status there. All of these are non-exempt, so they would be entitled to overtime compensation or comp time. And as I said before, the little note down there at the bottom, the external salary range is 10% below and 15% above our external midpoint. So the longevity here, we have two different pay options. We have the $100 per year, max of 20 years, and we have $150 per year, max 20 years. Essentially, we just multiply these numbers out by the years of service or the years that the employee has remained with the town, and that's how we get these numbers. Again, this is just a template or an example. It's not something that is set in stone, but it is relatively close in comparison to what others are doing around the town of Ellettsville. And then finally, the external analysis. This is where the pay ranges and the midpoints come into play. You can see those numbers displayed there. As I said before, the administrative assistant in the police department is one of the two positions that is currently out of that range. And if anything, we would like to see the positions or recommend the positions at least fall within that range that we provided. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the external midpoint, because we understand that moving forward, it could cost a lot of money, obviously, to get there. But this is a system that we hope stays in place and continues to move forward and to build to those external numbers. And then we have our cost analysis on the very end there. So it shows, $0 to the external midpoint. So that means that the position's already paid according to the external market. And then we have those other two positions where they're below the external market. And we have the total cost and then our percent increase, which is divided by all of the total salaries, and that's how we come up with that percent, how much it would, percentage-wise, it would increase. All right, the next spreadsheet I'm going to look at is the LTC. Essentially, it's the same exact thing as the comment. The only thing I will note on here that is a little bit different is that the temporary and seasonal and part-time employees are not included in the cost analysis. So this total number down in the bottom right-hand corner does not include part-time positions. We've determined a hourly rate for those positions externally and an external hourly rate range, but we did not cost those positions out since they're part-time. Moving on, I'm going to the PAC category. I believe there's only two positions here. Again, relatively the same kind of spreadsheet as everything that I've gone through already, and it does have a part-time position there, so it is not costed out. The next one is the pole fire. And the only thing that I'll say that's a little different on this one is with those rank differentials that we went into. You can see externally compared to what the 2020 salary is for positions within ranked positions. You can see externally that we've created a little bit of a difference between those ranks, which is more and currently more than what the town of Ellettsville is currently observing. So like I said in the report, it's a minimum of 3% rank differential. Next, we have the pole police. Again, sort of the same formatting here. Longevity pay, external, everything here is every position within the police department did have that rank differential that we were looking at the minimum of 3%. So we didn't do that externally for the police department because it wasn't necessary in our findings. The next category is the special occupations, which is just a little bit different than the other categories. SO positions do not receive any factor points, and we do not sit down and factor those and go over the guide charts with these positions because of their specific status. And as you'll notice with the FLSA status, they're deemed as excluded because they are political appointments of the clerk treasurer. So it's a little bit of a unique situation with those two positions. But again, as I'd mentioned before, the administrative assistant in the police department was out of the range, and then our deputy clerks / accounts payable in the clerk treasurer's department is the other position that is out of the external salary range that we recommend. So another thing to keep in mind there. Our next spreadsheet is the executive. Again, these are all of the department heads. All of the status that we have listed here and that we are recommending is FLSA exempt. And again, their range is a little bit different. So 10% below and 20% above the external midpoint salary. And then lastly, our elected officials page, which is a little bit different than the other spreadsheets. The average salary there is different than the external midpoint, so I want to make note of that. And then the external ranges are different as well. So for these two positions, for the town council and the clerk treasurer, our ranges are simply just lowest to highest. There's no percentages involved. It's just lowest to highest. And then the average salary is just the average of all of these different municipalities that we've selected combined. And that's pretty much the only difference there. So there's no dropping the highest or the lowest positions. It's just a snapshot, a direct snapshot of what the current market is for the town of Ellettsville. All right, the next spreadsheet I'm going to go to, I've only got 2 left, so not too much longer here, is the cost summary. And this is everything collected into one place. We have all of our total salaries for each category, all the longevity pay options, and then all of the costs to the external midpoint. And then we have the totals for each of those in at the bottom of the list. So, and then a total percent increase across the board based on our, costing it out to that external midpoint. And finally, the last page, as I've mentioned before, is the basically all the positions that were above the external midpoint, just to show how much they were above the external midpoint salary that we provided here. So only a number of positions here, but we wanted to display that as well. We had some questions about it, so we went ahead and prepared another spreadsheet to display that information. All right, so that concludes our analysis and our report and then our pay plan. So now we can answer questions if there are any, and I'm sure there will be. So whoever would like to ask a question, go right ahead.
I'll go ahead and start real quick. I know I've asked you these questions before, but since we're here at the council meeting, I'll go ahead and ask you again.
Yes.
How did you choose the towns and cities to compare us to for this study?
So the towns and cities that we chose were based on population size, based on surrounding areas, and then we had some in there that were used for the fire department only. But we had some places in here where the town of Ellettsville and who you're currently competing with, where employees are coming from or going. That's where we got most of the municipalities we listed out here.
Okay, and the benefits are not figured in, or the education pay. Is that correct in any of these studies?
No. As we had talked about before, and I believe that Mike had mentioned benefits, doing a comparison of benefits to the external market is a service we can provide. However, for this particular study, this was not included in our agreement, in the contract, that what we were contracted to do for the town. But that is a service that we can do, and if it's something that the town would like to see, we can get that information and return it in a timely manner.
Okay. All right. I appreciate all the time and work you guys have put into this, and I'll go ahead and open it to the other council members for questions. Is there any council member who'd like to ask questions?
I've got something, Dan.
Go ahead.
Okay, Kim and Tyler, thank you for your work. I appreciate that. One thing that I'm super interested, I guess, in right now is the longevity. How did you guys come to the $100 longevity option? Is that kind of, I know you were talking about your midpoint. Does it seem like the comps as far as towns and cities around us were using $100, or what were they doing as far as that goes? Because I think it's important we reward our employees that stick with us. So kind of curious on, I guess, more you have on that.
Yeah, and I know that just looking from some of the salary ordinances from these municipalities, a lot of them offer longevity pay after every year. And coming up with the 100 and the 150 again was just our example, but it's relatively close to what other municipalities are paying per year for their employees. So like I said, it's not a set in stone number. That's basically just an example we wanted to provide based on some of the areas that we've looked at and how they reward or how they pay their longevity each year for their employees. Does that answer your question?
It does. Thank you.
Yes.
And just in case you're not familiar, that the longevity pay currently is only awarded every 5th year, and it's $250 every 5 years. So after year 5, it's $250. Year 10, it's $500.
Okay.
But it is not rewarded. I mean, it's not given every year. It's only given every 5th year.
Thank you. Trevor, anything else?
That's it. Thanks.
Pam, William, Scott?
I do. Yeah, so you're saying that longevity, when you say $100 a year, each year we're not paying out $100. We're just, or is it all one lump sum at that 5-year, 10-year point?
The way we have it set up and for this particular project and the example that we gave, it would be paid out. We recommend being paid out at the end of the year or in one lump sum during the course of that year to sort of, reward the employee. And they feel it more when it's given into a lump sum versus just integrated into their salary. So that's how we would recommend it if this is an option that the town was looking for. Does that answer your question?
A little bit. Do most places do it on the employee's anniversary date? I think for accounting purposes, it'd probably be better to have like a standard date
Yes.
to do it. Is that what usually is done?
Yes. Yeah, it can be done on the higher date. Essentially, from what we've looked at, most places do it in one lump sum at one particular time during the year. It's not just. It could be different for whoever decide or whoever is using it, if that makes sense. But it is rewarded after their full year of service, and then 2, 3, 4, and so on. But these options can be set up the way the town of Ellettsville is currently doing it. So maybe every 3rd year they'd receive $100, and something like that. But this was just an every year $100 and $150 increment that we recommended.
Okay.
Pam, do you have anything to add?
No.
Scott?
Yeah, just a quick question. Did you, and maybe I missed it in your paperwork here, all of your recommendations, including the longevity, did you total how much that would cost the town per year?
How much it would cost what? I didn't get the last part. I'm sorry.
Cost the town per year to implement all of your recommendations?
Yeah, so there's a cost summary sheet that it shows both longevity pay options that we're recommending, and it shows how much it would cost the town to implement going forward for each employee.
Right, but I meant grand total. Is there a number?
A grand total with the longevity and the external put together?
Yes.
No, we just have the totals separated out on the cost summary sheet.
Anything else, Scott?
No, that's it.
Okay. All right. Is there any public comment? If you would like to say something or ask a question, raise your hand or use the raise your hand feature. Sorry. All right. I don't see any. Once again, I thank you guys for presenting this to us and taking the time. I'm sure this was very tedious, and I'm sure the council will get together and brainstorm this over and probably get back to you on this.
Yes,
Yeah.
and if there are any further questions, please feel free to give us a call. I know that we're all working from home remotely right now, but I know Kim has had good contact with Sandy, and she can get my cell phone number or one of us to talk to if there are any other questions moving forward. Sandy, did you have a question?
That was my question. You answered it as I was thinking about it. Thank you.
Okay, yeah, you're welcome.
Again,
Thank you.
we thank you and look forward to working with you.
Thank you
Yes.
very much.
Thank you all for your cooperation. And again, I know Kim had already mentioned it, but we'd like to thank everybody who participated, who put the effort in to make this possible. We couldn't have done it without all of that information. So again, thank you very much.
Thank you. All right, moving along. Next on the agenda, approval of minutes for executive session and regular meeting, July 13th, 2020. Is there a motion?
I will move to approve the minutes.
I'll
Is
second.
there, okay, Trevor second. Any council comment? Any public comment? Seeing none, Sandy, roll call?
Ann Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
Motion carries.
All right, next on the agenda, I'd entertain a motion to approve accounts payable and payroll. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Will, a second. Any council comment? Any public comment? Sandy, roll call?
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay, no resolutions. Ordinance on first reading, ordinance 2020-21 to amend chapter 73 of the Ellettsville Town Code, adding an all-way stop at the intersection of Colt Drive and Sycamore Drive, Abigail Lane and Nicholas Lane. Is this Danny?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, Darla really has done the ordinance. Mike is the one that asked us to do this. So, they say they wanted the four-way stop for kids walking across the street at Sycamore. And then we had a resident ask for the one at Abigail and Nicholas. So I've talked with Mike, recommended we put the four-way stops.
What's currently there right now?
Colt Drive is not an Ellettsville street. It comes from a junior high, between the elementary and the junior high, and they have stop signs, and Sycamore's a through street. And I guess they want to stop it. And then Abigail Lane is a through street, and Nicholas Drive is a stop street on the other one.
Okay,
Dan, it's Michael Farmer.
go
A
ahead,
little
Mike.
background. I talked to the transportation director. I think it's Vicki McCoy, and then Jerry Sanders, the superintendent, and they was very interested in the Sycamore Drive four-way stop. You have an intersection where during regular school, you have a lot of coming and going, and especially after school, from the junior high to the high school. And so there's a lot of consideration for pedestrian traffic going back and forth between the two schools. Sycamore Drive is a long straightaway, and the stop sign should give the pedestrians and especially our kids some added protection with good signage and the four-way stops. With the other street, it's a new through street that goes from McNeely through, I want to say Overbrook, into Meadowlands. And it has a blind spot in it. You approach the intersection from two different inclines, and it is also a bus stop. And so we had some requests as well for that as a four-way stop. And it, you know, it's a street that was always planned, but it's never been a through street until the new development has opened it up and made it a through street.
Okay. Thank you, Michael. Anyone else have anything to add? Not any council comment?
Yeah, I've got a question. On the second set of streets, and Mike, if you're not remembering the names, what's the traffic count on those streets? Do you have one?
Well, we have one. Can you
Do you
hear
know
me?
what it is per day?
Yeah.
I really wouldn't know. It's on I wouldn't know right now, but it's not a real high number because it's just in a subdivision.
So, Scott, I think you're just asking if there's been a traffic survey or anything to recommend a four-way stop. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, I mean, with the blind spot, if Mike says the blind spot's where, that's definitely a consideration, but oftentimes we see second and third order unintended consequences by putting up new stop signs. We wind up with a lot more traffic crashes than if we just left it alone. So that's kind of my question here is the blind spot so significant that we need to put this for the safety, or is it just somebody wants it to make it more convenient?
I personally don't know. To me, there's not enough traffic. We've looked at the numbers. There's not enough traffic to warrant a four-way stop. But
Scott, in my opinion, the incline is what requires the four-way stop. Mike and I went out and looked at it a couple of times, and the incline is very steep there. And you come up to what's the name? The cross street, and you don't see things until you get right on top of it. So that would be my thoughts.
You don't see the stop sign until you get on top of it. Don't see the intersection.
You don't see the cross traffic. What would be cross traffic?
Which brings up another point. If we change the traffic pattern there, then are they going to not see the stop sign until it's too late, or should we have another sign warning that the stop coming up?
We could. I think Mike and I have talked about that on Sycamore. We're going to have some warning signs either way there for that four-way stop. And we could do the same thing there on the second one also.
Okay, William, you have a question?
Yes. Have we had a rash of accidents at that intersection?
No.
Because I echo Scott's concern. If people think it's a through street, you could have all the signage and they've been doing this forever. They're not going to know the difference, and they're just going to blow through it. And I worry that's going to cause.
It's a brand new street. I mean, it just got, Mike, a couple months ago?
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so going back, digressing and going back to what Scott said, if the board likes, we could do a traffic count and walk through a couple seasons until we decide that indeed the four-way stop is warranted. And in the meantime, I would suggest the board get familiar with that intersection and maybe see what we see. But it is a brand new street, so we thought we was getting ahead of the problem, but maybe we ought to look into it more. But I really would recommend the board take a ride.
I think that's a great suggestion, Mike. And Another question, do we have any yellow caution flashing? Like when we do change the traffic patterns, do we have a flashing light that we can put up saying, you know, new traffic patterns ahead or something like that?
No,
I don't think we do, Danny.
No,
Danny, can you look in and Mike look into the cost of those?
They're about $10,000. I already can tell you that.
Wow, really?
If you're going to get automated ones.
Even the portable ones that,
No, that's portable signage. That's not portable.
yeah,
portable
what I'm talking about is portable, just a temporary thing warning people the new traffic pattern,
Well,
you know,
you're
little
still
flashing.
looking, you know, even if you do like portable message boards, you're still looking somewhere in the $5,000 to $6,000 range.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Wow.
I guess back on this whole topic, if it's a new street, I don't necessarily have an issue with, you know, particularly if there's a site occlusion doing this. It's just we've all of a sudden had a lot of folks that are interested in traffic calming and whatnot, and I would just urge people to be very, very vigilant as far as what they're asking for, because there are those second and third order effects that, quite frankly, I've seen these second, third order effects get people killed in the long run, and I don't want to go down that road here. So if this is a new enough intersection that people are just approaching it, you know, for the first time or even the 30th time, it's not like an intersection that's been there for 10 years, and we're making a big change there.
Yeah, and Scott, the two intersections are unique, and one has been that way for 20 some years. That would be the Sycamore intersection.
That one I have an argument with.
And
That's cool.
And the other one is unique by that it's only 2 months old.
Sure. Again, the one school I have no issue with at all, because that's a request coming from the school on their own property, more or less. It's the second one where the speeds are going to be, frankly, a little higher, even though it is a neighborhood. They're still going to be a little more than 10 or 15 miles an hour that I'm more concerned about.
Yeah,
Well,
the speed on the new road would be a concern, but it's such a smooth, brand new road. I mean, and there is a site problem there also, actually all four ways.
well, I will say that this is on the first reading. So Mike, I do like your comment you made where we can go out and all the council look at this, ourselves and get familiar with this before the next board meeting. Any further council comment on this? All right, so we'll just do that. This is on first reading. We'll bring it up at the next board meeting. Is there any public comment on this?
Dan?
Sure, go ahead.
Dan? So
Yes.
my recommendation, if you're good with Sycamore, is that you vote on it and table the other. School, I assume there's going to be school this year. School season is fast approaching. If, in fact, that you decide as a board to go ahead with the four-way stop at Sycamore, it'll give the street department time to prepare the signs and paint the intersections and make it safer than it is now.
Okay, so you want to vote on this on a first reading tonight?
I don't think we can.
It's just a first,
Go ahead, Darla.
it's a first reading.
Okay, so Mike, I don't think we can do that.
Yeah, okay. I'm sorry. I was confused.
Okay. All right. Any further comments, questions? Seeing none, we will move on to ordinance 2020-22 to utilize stormwater fees for purchase of real estate property for the flood remediation project. Who is this?
This is me, probably. This is first reading as well. And at the next town council meeting, you will have this ordinance before you and also a declaration of intent to incur debt because as you are aware, the town has been attempting to purchase the property at 104 West Vine. And the purchase price or the fair market value of the property is determined by the 3 court-appointed appraisers is $190,000. So in order to pay for that, the town intends to get a loan from the People's State Bank, just as the town did for the purchase of 105 West Vine. And the amount to be financed is $190,399.94. The payments will be made semi-annually in payments of $10,843.60 until August 31st, 2024. And a balloon payment will be due in the amount of $111,186.50 on February 28th. So the total cost of the loan will be $208,778.90 over a period of 5 years. So I asked Sandy to go ahead and put this on the council's agenda for first reading, so you would know that it was coming for the next town council meeting, and you can vote on it at the next meeting.
Okay, any council comments or questions?
Darla, just a quick question about any renter at that property. I don't know if there is one or not, but do we have to serve notice or do we have to honor their lease?
I say no, because we take the property, we take the property. So there was no renter, I don't think, at the time the town started the eminent domain. So the only people we had to put on notice were the bank and PipJ.
Okay.
William, you have a question?
So we're paying, is that $18,000 additional cost off the borrowing of the loan, all interest?
I do not have the amortization table in front of me. Do you have that, Sandy? By
I do
chance?
not, but it is all interest except for the bank fee to originate the loan, which is,
$399.94.
yes,
Because I'm not, if I'm looking, that's 8 payments plus the balloon, right?
it's semi-annual payments, so it's total of 10 payments. 10
Okay.
payments at the 10,000.
Okay. Gotcha.
Anything else, William?
Nope. Other than
Please.
glad we're finally putting this flood thing hopefully behind us soon.
Well, I don't think we're putting it behind us, but I think we're just scratching the surface, to be honest.
Well, getting the infrastructure to do it, let's put it that way.
Yeah. Any further council comments, questions? Seeing none, I will open up the public comment. Seeing no public comment, we will go down to ordinance 2020-23 to amend chapter 96 of Ellettsville Town Code regarding animal permitted to keep within the town limits. Sorry, got a sore throat here. It's hard to talk. Who is this? Kevin?
Well, I'll take it. I put together an ordinance to amend the town code for animals. And I tried to incorporate the comments the council made at the last meeting, and also incorporated a couple of little suggestions from Kevin and Denise. I understand from some comments that have been exchanged that this final ordinance may look different than the way it looks now, but I drafted it this way just because that was the, these were the comments the council made at the last public meeting, so.
Thank you. Any council comment?
The only thing I'd like to see changed the way it's currently written is, again, back to the, as long as they're rendered humanely flightless, I don't see why we need to have it covered or completely covered, the run exactly. That way it gives people more of a chance to spread out the run, and it makes it look a little nicer than if we require them to be so contained because of the roof problem. Clearly, we don't want them flying in other people's yards, but feathers can be trimmed so they can't be flightless. But I think we need to do away with the roof. They either need to be contained with a roof or rendered flightless.
Okay, anything else? Hang on.
So what section are you looking at in particular, Scott? You're looking at,
I'm sorry, just let it go back to
yeah, I'm sorry. So
the part where it talks about the run.
B4, B, where it says enclosed on all sides, including the top, you would suggest that we remove that.
Enclosed on all sides, and if the birds are rendered flightless, it does not need the top. Or humanely incapable of flight, I think is what we were bantering about. I apologize, I let it go back.
And I think we also have that covered in they can't be loose anyway, so even if they would get out, that would still be against the code. William,
Where I was going is to let them have it without the roof as long as they're contained in the yard.
Sure. I understand. I have no problem with that. William?
Yeah, first of all, I thought it was it's funny because you mentioned the roof. Our neighbor next door, I used to find this hilarious. She had chickens for a while, and they were flightless, but because of the roof, if they ever got out, which occasionally they did, they would somehow hop on the roof to get over the fence. So we loved having chickens in our yard, and I do mean that, not sarcastically. But I guess the question I want, Kevin and Denise, what are your input on this?
I mean, I'm fine with whatever gets passed. We'll enforce it however we can, like we do now.
Yes, I'm concerned about unintended consequences we may not see.
I guess I would mention too, it occurred to me while I was doing this ordinance that we may have had to run this by Monroe County the last time we prepared the ordinance because we have an agreement with Monroe County to enforce the ordinance. So I didn't see anything in the Monroe County Code that prohibited ducks, but we may need to run this by the county attorneys just to see if they see any issues or problem. Because as I recall, what we were told last time was if Ellettsville wanted Monroe County Animal Management to enforce its animal code, it would have to be in line, not necessarily exactly but would have to be fairly similar to the Monroe County ordinance. So I may not be remembering that correctly, but I have that in the back of my head that I had that conversation with one of the county attorneys. So.
Yeah, I think they didn't want to enforce our code is pretty much, they wanted to stick with what their code was and go from there.
And Darla, back to your question. Yes, it is 4B that I was alluding to.
What was the property setbacks?
It just said they had to be within 6 feet of the property, or couldn't be within 6 feet of the property line.
Okay.
That's the coop itself, not the run.
This reduced it to 5.
Right, you're right. This does change it to 5 feet from the property line. It was originally 6, and talks only about the coop being away from the property line, not the run itself. Again, like we talked about, if you want to use half your backyard as long as they can't get out, okay.
Why did we change to 1 foot? That's kind of strange.
I don't know.
I asked for Darla to change it from 6 to 5 so it matched the rest of our accessory structure setbacks.
Gotcha.
Uniform.
Okay, makes sense. Just curious on the 1 foot. And my feelings on the chicken, I think they're great. I think, if you want to raise them, that's fine. The only problem I have is if you encroach on your neighbor, say that's, some of the smaller backyards, if you put the coop right 5 feet from your neighbor's backyard, which would be 10 foot total, he's out there barbecuing on the back porch trying to enjoy it. And he's being infringed on by the chickens. So that's my only problem. It's fine to have them, but also be very courteous to your neighbor. Any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll open this up to the public for comment. Seeing none, we will move on. Okay, no ordinance on second reading. No old business. Flood report. Is this just on there again? Nothing new to report? Mike,
Other,
go ahead, Darla.
yeah, other than what I've reported with regard to the purchase of 104 West. No.
Okay. Mike, do you have anything?
I have nothing.
All right, down to new business. Street department request to purchase a mower and leaf machine. Danny?
Yeah. I was wanting to purchase a new turn mower. Ours are about wore out. And today I was asked, the utilities is going to purchase one too, and they asked me if I'd present it too. But we got the 3 bids. The lowest is Rich, small engines here in town. And the total cost for ours, we traded in our others. The total cost for our mower would be $10,800. And we're going to get some help. The parks is going to give us $2,500 to help pay for it, and he's going to give us $4,000 for mowing the part that we mow for him. So, but the total for the vehicle, and then the utilities, I can do these together.
Danny, can you repeat the first one you cut out on us?
Repeat the first one.
Yeah.
The total.
The total is 10,800.
No, after with your assistance.
That's the total for not counting assistance.
Okay.
Yeah. And then the utilities, these are both the same mower, same. And I got 3 bids, 3 quotes for them. And Richard was the lowest quote for that one too. And their total is $8,750. We both done a trade-in, and they have a little better trade-in than we do. Is the difference in the price.
So there's 2 mowers we're purchasing then, right?
Yeah. One
Okay.
for street and one for utilities.
Okay.
I believe Kip sent you about all the information on them, I believe.
Okay. And what were the mowers that you're going to buy? What type?
The brand is Ferris. They're 0 turns, 72-inch decks.
Great mower. I have one. And Richard will take good care of us down there. He always has me.
We done a lot of checking and we really liked it.
Yeah. You'll love it. Okay. Any council comment on this? Question.
Hey, Danny, what's the shelf life like for these mowers?
Well, it's the first time we bought Ferris's, but the ones we're using now is 20 years old. So,
okay.
You know, they're a 0. They're not a Ferris. And we really like the way this tractor's built. We think it's maybe even better.
I think Ferris will last a little bit longer. They have that suspension that they're the only ones around that do. And I know when I was looking for a 0 turn, the Ferris just topped every other feature any other one had. So I think you'll be very pleased with it. Anything else? Okay, I would entertain a motion for this.
So moved.
You can get your new lawnmower.
Ellis, do you second?
I will.
And Pam, you first, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any council comment? Any public comment? Seeing none, Sandy, roll call?
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
carries.
All right, Danny, like I said, I think you'll love these mowers, so good luck. All right, next thing on the agenda, go ahead.
I also have a leaf vac machine I want to ask to purchase tonight too.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I budgeted for this. We killed over some money from last year for it, but it's a new leaf vac. I got the 3 quotes, Brown Equipment, got the quotes, and the total price is $65,598.
I'm sorry, you cut out on the price again. Try it one more time.
$65,598.
Okay. And who is that with?
Brown Equipment.
Okay. All right. Any council comment on this? Okay, sorry, I was reading something. No council comment, public comment. Seeing none, I'd entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, Sandy?
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples,
Yes.
motion carries.
All right, I don't know if you can hear me, but I lost my camera. Or I've lost the meeting.
We can still hear you, Dan.
Okay, just give me 1 second. I gotta log back into Zoom. Okay, I got you back up. All right, motion carried. Let's see. Next thing on the agenda is Healthy Town Operation Workplace Protocols.
No,
Who's-
there's one more item before that.
Oh, the mass gathering permit?
Yes,
Okay, sorry.
that's okay.
Mass gathering permit, alternative care solutions. Mike, is this you? Is he there?
Mike Farmer or Mike Corman?
Mike Farmer, are you the one taking care of this?
Well, I guess I could. Yeah, so before you is a request to rent the shelter houses, plural, down at Campbell's Park and the shelter house across the street. Tiffany Norris from ACS is the one that made the application, and she should be on Zoom tonight attending the meeting if she'd like to explain what exactly is going to take place and if it is going to be a mass gathering or not.
I do not see her.
Okay. Well, with that said, I met with Mike Corman and Jimmy Durrell, and we talked about this. And I will say we have some concerns about how large a group will show up. When we asked her about it, Mike jumped in there, or Jimmy. I do believe she said less than 50 people, but she has no way of knowing how many people will show up.
No, she had no way of giving us a figure of who would be there, and basically she knew kind of what we were going to do, but her plans weren't well done at that time.
We also were concerned about her wanting to use 4 shelter houses for 50 people. So it didn't seem right. And I think more than that would be contradictory with the county health order also. So my recommendation was to deny the mass gathering permit.
And mine also.
Yeah, the only reason
Mine
I
is-
can think of for 4 would just be the social distancing, but that's pretty still extreme in different locations. I don't know how you can do an event like that. And Darla, what is the protocol right now for the mass gatherings?
I don't know because I think this is the first application we've had since COVID, but I thought with the governor's last order, we could have 250. But I don't have the last order in front of me, so I don't know.
Did Monroe County, the health department, didn't they do something with that too, or am I thinking of something else?
I can go and try to find that. I don't have the Monroe County order in front of me, so I don't know.
I think the Monroe County order is 150 people.
That's what I was thinking too, Scott.
And quite honestly, we have the police.
Hang on a second, Mike. Go ahead, Scott.
You have both the police and the fire chief saying they have grave concerns about this. I'll be honest with you. I don't even want to consider it if we have both of our public safety officials saying, I think this is a problem.
Agree.
Michael, did you have some comment?
Well, there is the added consideration for that being a public space and a park, and this, especially in light of what's going on now, a lot of people are getting out and trying to take advantage of places like that. So if we rent all the shelter houses to them, we basically will be shutting the park down to anyone else.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way Scott does on this. If we're getting our official or our 3 people, Mike's not recommending it either. I'm really concerned about it too. So, and the person hasn't been on yet either, right? Tiffany, are you out there?
May I say that when I talked to her on the phone, this was a free event for the community. And I understand the concerns. I'm not trying to endorse or anything. I just wanted to explain what she had told me. They were going to have free Domino's pizza and free hamburgers and hot dogs cooked by Carter's Barbecue. And they were going to try to have a bounce house. And they were just making it, all of it, free to the community because they felt everybody was, just needing an outing and have some fun. So that was how they approached it when they called me to reserve it.
And what was the date they're wanting again?
It's the end of August, I think, the last Saturday in August.
I mean, I understand it. I mean, but with everything going on, I think we really need to be cautious on this. With the face mask and everything else, who are we going to get to enforce this? If it turns out that we have several hundred people show up, I just have a lot of red flags, and I really wish she was here to help explain and help defend this. So,
is there a guideline you'd like for us to follow now at the clerk's office? Because there has been more rentals at the shelter this year than in years past. People who can't necessarily meet in their homes feel a little more comfortable meeting at the shelter houses. So are you instructing me to refund this money for that event? And how do you want us to carry on with the other shelter house rentals?
William, go ahead. Do you have a question? Hang on, Sandy.
Not a question, more a comment. What is the major concern that people are having with this gathering? The health order? COVID?
Oh, I think that's definitely the issue.
Okay, honestly, I'm not going to apply a double standard and be part of that within the county. Protests are allowed. There was a lot more than that. And we're not, I think it's horrible for Ellettsville to set the example. Oh, we're going to do this and Bloomington can do this. The county has already established what they're doing and they're ignoring large crowds. And if they have masks, that's great. I hope they do. They'd be stupid not to. But I cannot support in any way, shape, or form denying this permit because I think the community needs it. We're talking about people that we need something positive. And I really think this is positive, and the precedent has already been set from the Board of Health.
Okay, Sandy, what was your question again? You just want to know if we deny this, then what the standards are going to be. You know,
and this one
William-
is an exceptional one because they wanted all of the shelters, and so it makes it seem like it's a really large event, but she said they wanted to rent them all just so that people had the ability to move around the park freely. And at any rate, my question was, if I refund this permit, how should I proceed with other rentals of the shelter house? I mean, right?
Right, and I understand what you're saying. And I understand what you're saying too, William, but like I said, I really wish the person was here to defend this and to answer the questions. After we approve this, if there's no set number, she set up to how many people again, Mike or Sandy? What
Well, listen, would it help if I go through some of the things? There are questions asked and there to respond, and I can kind of give you what she put on what will happen at the event. I mean, do you want that real quick so you can maybe?
Yeah, if you don't mind, I think that might help.
Okay. First of all, they talk about it'll be handicap accessible, and there will be HHAS nurses and other health professionals at the event. On hand will be health professionals who have been trained in case of medical emergencies, and if something beyond the scope of skills should arise, they would call 911. They have multiple persons helping clean up after the event. All recyclables will be taken to the appropriate locations. They may have some banners up. And then on the last page, she put, we will be providing masks and hand sanitizers for the event, along with social distancing. And I think that's all the information she gave me. They have a certificate of liability insurance attached. I assume that's required for anybody. And that's it. And it is on August 29th.
I asked for the certificate of insurance because on the phone she said they wanted to have a bounce house.
Okay. And was there a number on there? I'm sorry, I may have estimate of guests.
No. And that's what and that's what we were, like I said, I'm not for it or against it per se. I mean, as usual, during these times, I'm kind of schizophrenic about the whole thing. But anyway, I am curious of why there will be all the shelter houses used and it excludes the rest of the public.
Yeah. Man, I've got a quick comment here.
Go ahead, Scott.
You know, and William, I agree with you from a lot of what you've said, and I appreciate you saying it. My concern over not wanting to even entertain this is the only other event which we have ever given permission that I'm aware of to use all 4 shelter houses at once is the Fall Festival, which necessitates the closure of Campbell's Park and the closure of other roads in the area. If you want something so large to be on par with the Fall Festival, then we need to see the plans ahead of time, because the Fall Festival, last I knew, was like a 20 or 30 page document detailing all the contingencies involved, the security involved, the medical involved, the weather people that are, you know, the emergency management that's watching the weather. I mean, it's a big undertaking. And the fact that we're going to rent out 4 shelter houses means we're going to have a lot of pedestrians floating around down there. And if we're not closing the park in that area and the roads, then they're going to park down there. And we're going to have issues with pedestrians coming and going through traffic. All of this is just so undefined without a plan that I really don't want to consider it, because it doesn't have a plan behind it. And that's my reasoning. It's not the size of it that bothers me. It's the scope of it that bothers me, without adequate planning and or precedent before this.
And I agree with you on that too, Scott. William, go ahead.
Sorry. That's why I wanted to preface what the concerns was. And Scott, those are what I'd call legitimate concerns, that if COVID wasn't going on, we would have the exact same concerns.
Oh, exactly.
And that's what that's kind of why I asked that question. What were the concerns? But could we amend it where they get 2 shelter houses instead of the 4?
Well, what I'm leaning towards, and I'm going to go back to Darla here in a minute too, because I think she's looked up the county ordinance. But this isn't to August 29th. I think we've all brought up some valid points, and I would kind of like to have Mike get in touch with this person and get a little bit more information on this and bring it up at the next meeting. So table it for this meeting. Having said that, Darla, do you have any other comments?
No, I stepped out for a minute and found the local Monroe County Health Department public health order, the most recent one that was issued. And it says in paragraph 8 that beginning July 31st at noon, gathering sizes applicable to all commercial gatherings or held at those venues that are in the normal course of business offered to the general public for rent or use, which I think this would be that category, shall be no more than 100 people if the gathering is inside or 150 if it's outside. Paragraph 7 says that if you're holding a non-commercial event, including private gatherings, you have a 50-person limit.
Okay. Yeah, I thought there was a little discrepancy between it and the governor's order. So but how's the rest of the council feel on tabling this till the next meeting?
I'm okay
fine
with
with it, Dan.
tabling it until she can come here and answer some of these questions and concerns. And I definitely think we need a plan. I ran a backyard sale at our store. Mike can testify, Corman, we gave him a plan on where things would be. So that, I think, needs to be part of this equation.
I think one of the questions we need to have answered too is there baseball that day? It's a Saturday. I don't want
Good point.
I don't want to dump all this stuff on top of baseball, which already takes up so much of the parking around here.
That's a good question.
Yeah. So are we in agreement? Let's just table this until we can, till the next meeting. And by then, hopefully, Mike, can you go get with her and find out some of this information and have her attend the next meeting?
And I did
I
send
will.
her the Zoom information to attend the meeting. I was requested to do that.
Right. And I think she told Mike she would be here.
Yeah, and I'll take care of that, and I'll have the information for the board prior to the next meeting. So if I talk to her next week, and as the details come in, I'll let you know, and I will check on the baseball as well.
Okay. All right. So then I'll make a motion to table the mass gathering permit, Alternative Care Solutions, until the next board meeting.
I'll second.
Any council comment? Any public comment? Sandy, roll call?
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. All right. Now we're down to Healthy Town Operation Workplace Protocols. Who is this?
I'll start with that. This is something that was talked about with the town manager and the clerk treasurer about how we're dealing with our own employees and coming to work and returning to work if they've been ill or even a possible exposure with testing. And we found in the past week that we want more information. Some things have come up this past week. We need some more information. We got to dig in a little bit about when we let somebody come back to work after they either been exposed or possible exposed or actually have the COVID-19. So we want to make sure that everybody's safe in town, town employees. We put this plan together and it mirrors the city of Bloomington plan quite a bit. It was similar to a lot of plans across the state of Indiana. It was the best one I felt that fit Ellettsville, and we added a few things to it. So wanted to bring this to your attention for you guys to go through, and we will probably have it on the agenda for actual approval at the next meeting. So we just want to bring it to your attention today. We are working on something for all the employees to have, but we have some holes we got to fill in. And you see something ahead of time, by all means, give us a call and give your offer, your opinion to what the plan might speak of other employees.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Anyone else want to add to that? Seeing none, any council comments, questions? So Mike, you'll have this ready for us next meeting, and keep us informed with emails to any kind of changes or questions you have.
Sure.
All right, moving on, building inspector, Kevin.
Thank you. Recently, it was found out that our current inspector wanted to reduce his hours. And in order to keep our building department running on schedule, we found it necessary to bring on another part-time inspector. In doing so, and I believe Mike Farmer's already talked to some, if not all of you on this, it would not add to our budget. It would all come out of the same part-time building inspector budget line, but it would just give us the coverage we need to be operational.
Yeah, he ran that by me, and I think this is a wonderful idea. I think getting two people for the price of one, actually. So I think it's a win-win for everybody. So I'm all for that. Any other council members?
Dan, real quick, I also want to add,
Sure.
they also, our two inspectors have different skill sets, so I think they complement each other nicely as well.
Right, I agree with you 100%. So. All right, anyone else? Is there a motion? Or do we need to make a motion on this?
Well, this is concerning hiring an employee. So yes, we need a motion. His name is Scott Hartgraves.
Okay, would anyone entertain a motion?
Yeah, I will. I would move that we allow the planning department to hire Scott Hargraves or anyone else they see fit to take the position of the second building inspector.
I will second that. Any council comment?
Is this one we have to, the certification question is still out there?
It's a part-time employee. I don't think I don't think they get certification pay.
Okay, so it's not like the other one where we were either going to contract with the county, because I guess I didn't hear follow up on that. But I just want to make sure we're not talking about the same position.
No, I'm sorry, I misunderstood. I thought you were talking about certification pay.
Well, there was one that he couldn't get training.
Right,
and we
right.
were going to contract. So is this that guy, or is this somebody different?
No, that is a different situation. I'm still working with the consultant trying to hammer out something with that. I don't think we'll be going with the county for the commercial inspections. That's a entirely different skill set. If I can find someone else to do that, I'll ask to bring them in part-time as well. But right now I'm trying to work on a consultant.
I have no more.
All right. I'm sorry, where were we? Was there a motion?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. No further council comment on it? Any public comment? Sandy, roll call?
Okay, Dan, you seconded the motion before he added the name, but you still second.
Yes, second.
Okay,
All right.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
Motion carries.
Thank you.
Okay, and I would like to say, Kevin, I'm really getting excited. You're building that department up. I'm looking for great things coming out of you guys.
Hey, we hope so.
Who was it that laughed there? It wasn't Denise, was it?
That was Darla.
Okay. All right. Seeing that, we'll open it up to privilege of the floor. Anyone in the audience have any non-agenda items they would like to speak? Please hit the raise hand feature.
Apparently Ernest wants to make a comment.
Yeah, I see that. Ernest, go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes, thank you very much. Given normally I would attend the meeting and let's get you guys after, but with the COVID and Zoom, we're changing how we do things. I just wanted to approach the council. So in a recent speech, Mayor Hamilton kind of revised his call to increase the county's local income tax. He's recommending now 1/4%, 1/4 of 1% instead of the 1/2 of 1% that he recommended beginning of the year. And I just wanted to give the council members a chance, since as a member of the Monroe County Local Income Tax Council, kind of get your guys' reaction on him bringing back this proposal. I know the county commissioners and the county council issued a statement last Friday that they oppose it. But I just wanted to give you guys a chance to comment on that, given you're a part of that local income tax council, so you have votes on this decision if he decides to come forward with this proposal. And I'll just let the board talk about it.
Thank you, Ernest. And I see, William, you'd like to comment on that?
You guys know it. I think this is a completely misguided direction that the mayor has. He's now draping up, and say again, the urgency that we have to do this. How about the urgency of digging out of this economic hole we're in? That's the urgency we need. And sticking another regressive tax on a bunch of people, especially those in Ellettsville that can't vote for him, don't want anything to do with voting for him, to me is just absolutely disgusting and just shows an authoritative streak that I don't believe should be in elected office.
Thank you, William. Any other council members? See none. Thank you, Ernest. Would you like to add anything?
No, that's it. I just want to give you guys a chance.
Thank you. I think William pretty much summed it up for me too. So, all right. Is there anyone else in the public? All right. Seeing none, I will open it up to supervisors, and we'll start with Kevin.
Nothing from us.
Nothing. Come on, you got 4 people now. I'm kidding, Kevin. All right, Jimmy Durnall.
Jimmy's good.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Jimmy. Mike Corman.
I've got nothing. Thank you.
Mike Farmer.
Briefly, Cindy and I and the department heads have been working on 2021's budget. We think we have some good information and maybe even a plan. Of course, the wage study and what it provided as far as information might change some of what we'll propose, but we think this may be the year where you as a board will need options, considering that we do have some lost revenue streams or part of the revenue, if you will. So anyway, we should have that to you sometime in the next, Sandy, help me out here, week or so. And then we may even want to have a work session to hammer us out.
I think a work session is a great idea. I know Pam commented last year that she really wants, or it may have been William, I can't remember. They wanted to be more active in the budget decision process. So I think 1 or 2 work sessions is a great idea. So, and I appreciate all the work you guys have put into this too. But with the fact that the rate study and everything's there, I think a work session is an excellent idea.
Okay, and then I'm thinking if we give you enough upfront information, maybe we can do it in one work session, but that'll be up to you.
Okay.
And I wanted to ask how you're doing with the Zoom sessions and your paperwork. I know I send it to you digitally. How difficult is it then for you to access that during the meeting? And do you need hard copies? mailed to you, or the budgets? Would you like hard copies of the budgets, or is the digital platform working okay for everyone?
Speaking for myself, digital's working great. I don't have any issues with it.
I agree.
Okay.
Digital.
Yeah, I like the digital, and if I need anything, I'll print it out. So,
Pam, you doing
Pam?
okay with digital copies?
Yes.
Okay, good. I just didn't know how difficult it was to switch back and forth. So thank you very much.
okay. Anyone else want to comment on the budget coming up?
I want to tell you one more thing. I meet with my DLGF, Department of Financial,
Something.
DLGF, yeah, about the budget tomorrow at 1. It'll be a digital I don't know if it's Zoom or probably more like a webinar for me, but I will definitely know a little bit more. I feel like there is some lost revenue, but with the years we've put in, we've got a good operating balance, so we're in pretty good shape. We've weathered this little storm really, really well. So more to come.
Okay.
We probably
Anyone?
won't see the impact till 2021, 22. Is that correct?
I think that is correct. I mean, they're trying to give us a good estimate for 2021, and then we'll see next year what about 2022. But even with some decreases, we're still doing okay. The property taxes have come in really well, so that's been pretty positive.
Good deal. Anyone else on the budget? Councils? Okay. Mike, did you have anything further?
No, thank you.
Okay. Is Jeff Farmer here?
I am here, but I have
Anything
nothing.
to report?
Nothing.
Thank you. Danny?
Yeah, Mike Farmer just texted me a minute ago, and the last meeting I was trying to buy a striping machine, and we didn't have all the quotes, and Darla thought we should get our quotes, and with that done, I thought you guys gave Mike the okay to sign for the machine, and we have the 3 quotes. So I was just wondering, if he can still support.
Darla, I can't remember what we said last time. Did we give the authority to Mike?
We did.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. So yeah, Danny, he can go ahead and do that.
Okay.
Just curiosity on the three that you got, was it lower than the one you had?
No, the one we had was the lowest.
Okay. It worked out good then.
Yeah.
Anything else, Danny?
No, that's it.
All right. Okay, I think I got everyone. Did I miss anyone? Okay, and I'll wrap it up with any further council comments.
I do. I have something to try to get straightened out. This
Sure.
may be from Mike Farmer. Can you hear me, Mike?
I can.
Okay. I had a partial electric outage in my house the other day. We called Duke Energy. They came out and they found that on the pole that runs along the creek, which isn't in my yard, that there was overgrowth of trees and everything around it, and they had broke off and fell down and knocked part of my power out. I had that same problem with Xfinity. My cable went out, same thing. Okay, both companies are telling me it's not their problem, that whoever owns that land, either along the creek, whether it's the person that lives in that house or the town, that they are responsible for cleaning those trees out. I would like for you to find out, do we own it? Does the neighbor own it? Because it needs cleaned out, because like I said, I had a partial outage the other day, and they said it wasn't a responsibility, but the 2 young men went ahead and cut around so they could get it fixed for me. And then I had a problem with cable company. So I would like to try to get this straightened out. Does the town own that? Does the neighbor, is it in the neighbor's yard? Could you find out for me so we could maybe get this straightened out? Because there's going to come a time where I'm afraid they'll come. And if my power outage goes out again, they may say no. And then I'm going to have no power till the town or the neighbor, whoever is responsible, takes care of it. So could you look into
Yeah, I'll go up and see Kevin, and we'll get on the computer and see who owns that property. It should be fairly easy to figure out, and then I'll make a report.
Yeah, because it's the pole that runs along the creek that sits behind the parking lot. You know where I'm talking about, right? As you come into Tecumseh. Okay, so I would appreciate if you look at that. So maybe we could get it straightened out, because Duke tells me it's not their responsibility. Xfinity says it's not the responsibility. It's either the town or my neighbor. So if you could do that, I appreciate it.
Consider it done.
Thank you.
All right. Anything else, Pam?
No.
Trevor?
Nope.
Scott?
No.
William? All right. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Trevor's hurry.
Any council comment? Any public comment? Sandy, roll call.
Dan Swafford,
Yes.
Scott Oldham,
Yes.
William Ellis,
Yes.
Trevor Sager,
Yes.
Pamela Samples.
Yes.
It's 8:21. Good night, everyone.